Oh, fuck. Oh, hi. Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm a little, what do you call this? I'm a little bit like groggy today because I still I didn't sleep properly. And yeah, by the way, the stream is like maybe like 2 hours at least or 1 hour, 30 minutes. So, yeah, speaking of which, so yeah, I somehow like, hold on. Oh, thank you for the follow, Zososa. Okay, well, speaking of which, my chair did fucking broke hours ago. So by the way, this stream is be considered to be like evening on your evening. So what happened earlier doesn't count. So it's like a fucking replay or let's say same shit. Uh I'll just like try to like delete the VOD later, okay? The old one. Cause to be honest, what do you call this? I'm a little bit like moody that time, so yeah. Um, yeah, the chair like fucking broke earlier, and like somewhere like 2 p.m. like hours a few hours ago. Uh, 2 p.m. Yeah, I not really 2 p.m. like more like 4 p.m. EST. And do you want to know, guys, that do you want to know, guys, about uh the reason why it broke? Do you want to know? Oh yeah, I forgot to like open the Spotify. Mm, Sure. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to try to like open the lo-fi. Where's Mixie? Moon, 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 moon.
Hello, motherfucker. Hello, motherfucker.
Oh, who's that? Moon, 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 moon. Oh, moon, 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 moon. Where are you, moon? Moon, Mixie, moon, 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 moon. Okay, so yeah, anyhow, I'm just going to get back to the topic. So, my fucking chair like did fucking broke. I mean, like I fell down backwards and I almost like fucking hit my head. Uh, yeah, actually, originally the chair did fucking broke like months ago, and I repaired it. But this time it's like it's already dead. is because the metal supports that is like underneath the chair. If there's like office chair, right? There's like a metal part on the hinge or something. It fucking rusted and it just like fucking broke. It fucking broke. Uh, it cannot support my weight anymore, and I'm I'm not kidding about this, but what do you call this? To be honest, I'm like fucking overweight. I'm not literally fat looking, as in like if you're like going to imagine overweight or fat, as in like really huge guy that is like what do you call this, like almost obese. Actually, I'm not obese, but I'm more of what do you call this, um a husky person, okay? Not a husky dog. So I look husky, so that's the point that my muscles have like what do you call this, more muscles and few fat. But I think like other people did say that my muscles do fucking look like hard rubber. And yeah, I did like refer last time that what do you call this? I did brought it up last time that um I think I'm a little bit immune from physical damage. Like I got hit like several times, got into accidents, and I can like recover faster from injuries, and I don't feel much pain. Unless of course I got hit on the vulnerable parts, that's like so fucking painful. But most of the time I got hit on the parts that's like a little bit durable on my body. Yes, and not to mention that the only parts of my body that looks like female, if you look like in others' perspective, would be my face and hands, because other people did try to like touch my hand and they noticed that but I have like the hands of a woman. But anything else, no, because first of all, even the blind person are wondering why that my hands looks like a hand of a woman, but actually, when it comes to like they try to like what do you call this, massage my body. Basically, my body is like a body of like a husky man. I mean, like, do you know what is the meaning of a husky person? Like really huge, like a fucking lumberjack, and that's my body type right now. Really strong, really durable, but not as fat, not as muscular that you can like see from weightlifters or something. Just like I'm really big. So this explains why when it comes to like my chair, I'm like a little bit taller right now than on my broken chair, because first of all, I'm a little bit taller. So from 5'6", I think I grew up to I think like 5'8" right now, or 5'7". So I'm a little bit taller right now than last time. Oh yeah, speaking of which, sorry, because just like sharing a story. So yeah, how are you, Moon? And also you, Jack. How are you, Moon? As Asian, well, I don't really want to like say Asian jokes right now, to be honest. One of the true stereotypes when it comes to like Asian is that we eat fucking rice. Not literally noodles, because not all of Asians do eat noodles as a staple, but more of a rice. And I'm not kidding about this. Every fucking everywhere you go in Asia, like Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Borneo, Japan, China, Vietnam, Laos. Every fucking people there eat rice. Yeah, I mean like you have a point. But this is not a joke, but this I'm saying the fucking truth anyway. When it comes to like Asians, we do fucking love our rice. I mean like I think you as Americans, your rice equivalent would be the mashed potatoes, or let's say pasta. or a bread, okay? But for us, but actually, it depends, because especially when it comes to China, I think like North Chinese do eat like barley, oats, rice, and noodles. They're, I mean, like barley bread, or let's say oats or noodles. North Chinese. But South Chinese do frequently eat rice, and I do understand that why they're doing it is because North Asia, North Asians, especially North Chinese, what do you call this? They don't. They're, what do you call? Ah, yeah, yeah. Now I know. So their soil is not suitable for growing rice, and I'm saying this because I'm aware that in North China it's really hard to grow rice there because rice is a tropical crops. Not to mention that the soil there you cannot even like plant some rice seeds or something like that. So most of the time they plant the crops as wheat. So wheat you can create some bread, also noodles for that. And I'm not surprised because most of the cuisine there are either meat or noodles, spicy noodles. For Japan, it's like almost the same, but I think on the north, is the same issue with North China. But when it comes to like you're going south, or let's say central Japan, most of them are using rice, and their rice is like way different than what we're using in general in Asia. Is because um, you're aware about that yun carry, right? In Philippines, that we're using like somewhere like Ifugao, or let's say Doming, and unlike in Japan, they're like into a fucking sticky rice. They don't use an ordinary rice that is a little bit harder. And of course, I need to bring it out. It's not only us, also India and Middle East. And Middle East like split to two parts. So part Arabic and part of it is Asian. So because it's like bordered. And speak of Middle East, so their rice is like a little bit different than, let's say, in the rest of the Asia, because they're using long grain rice, which is called being used by in a biryani. Yes, exactly. You can like shape the rice in Japan, but in Middle East you cannot. But still, you can create a meal out of lamb or mutton there, which is called biryani. They have like kebab. I'm not really familiar that much when it comes to like Middle Eastern cuisine. Indian, they're like more of curry. So they don't use much biryani. They're more of in Filipino terms, ulam and kanin, or let's say viand and rice. So it's so different from what Indians are doing too. So they just like scoop the viand from their hand, and they're just putting it on the rice, and they're going to eat it with their mouth using hands. Well, exactly, because it's long grain. Actually, what do you call this? Middle Eastern and Indian rice are similar to brown rice or red rice, and I know that because biryani meals do have like rice husks there. Hi, hi, Uni. So they have like a rice husk in when it comes to like Middle Eastern, let's say Indian rice. So yeah, guys, how are you today, guys? By the way, you carry. I said earlier that my chair fucking broke. My chair fucking broke, and I backflip from my chair. I just like backflip from the chair. You know what happened to like Darth Sidious, right? And Yoda used the Force to Darth Sidious, and he just like say ah. I felt that I felt that shit earlier, and that time I almost like bumped. bump my head. Good thing that I just like use my elbows, just like balance myself. Because if I got hit on back of my head, yeah, that is like literal knockout for me. It's just like and yes, when it comes to like the chair. By the way, not only it is bent and it got destroyed by my weight, the metal part is like corroded. It's just like SCP's 106 passed through it. I'm not kidding. I'm not shitting you about that. It felt like SCP 106 passed through that fucking metal part. That if fucking corroded, it looks like it has like rust to the point that if you're like fucking going to like sit on it, it just like got weak. Sure, Mixie. Have a good work, Moon. Have a good work, Moon. Moon. Too much Moon. Moon Rabbit. Bad Mixie. Bad. Okay. So okay, I think like I posted something on Twitter that my mood at the work earlier. So yeah, I'm going to say it. I'm not happy when I started my week shift. Yeah, I'm not happy because okay, I'm going to eat mixie. I'm going to eat mixie after later. But right now, I'm not really hungry right now. Speaking of which, so the reason why I'm in nasty mood yesterday, I think like earlier. Imagine this. They should be aware that I'm on day off, right? And they asked me on Microsoft Teams that I'm not going to tell my real name. They asked me like Miko, can you delete something from the eval system because I made a mistake. There is like a client that is like asking to change the time doctor schedule. They asked that two stuff that I'm just like baffled. Why didn't you ask our manager that is present that day? And I'm wondering why he didn't even like fucking do that. And he's aware that I'm on day off. And that time like what? My day off is like 2 days. So when I check on it and it's already way too late, and I contacted the person who is like requesting it, but the person said that disregard. Imagine that if it's like critical request and they just like fucking message me on MS Teams. I don't think that I can like catch up on it or let's say check on it because first of all, yeah, obviously genius, it's a rest day. I'm on day off, so I don't open my laptop or let's say MS Teams just to like check their stupid requests. Second, another thing why actually I chewed him out about that. No shit, I literally chewed him out. I told him that if there is like the other managers on your same day shift, then ask them, why the hell did you ask me? He cannot even answer me. And this is why, no, sorry, I know that it's kind of like bullying, but at the same time, I'm just like, I cannot blame myself why I keep trolling him. Remember, you carry that I have like certain coworker that I keep trolling, right? He's the same guy. And sometimes he does a really stupid decision, or let's say I question his decision making or logic. That every fucking time that I interact with him, my IQ like goes 20 negative 25. Because like yeah, he's the same guy who just like contacted me, and I don't know what he's like trying to do. Like if it's really important, contact the other managers because they're like on call, they're like literally on the same shift. Contact them. And for me, I'm on shift basis only. So the only thing that they can like contact me off work if there is like emergency, a literal emergency that cannot be done by anyone. As in like all check parts should be checked. They cannot just like contact me and they will just like think, oh, I'm going to go bother this guy. Like they forgot that there is like other admins do exist. They can like contact other tree that is like really there on the same shift on the same day. Yeah, no, I cannot blame him. I cannot blame myself why I tend to like troll him or let's say make fun of him is because yeah, so most of the time he fucking pisses me off. So I'm not encouraging that because first of all you will get reported by HR and I I have like literal experience already that most other people do fucking report me to HR but they cannot do everything because as usual I'm always fucking right when I tend to like defend myself. So yeah, the only thing that they can say to the other guy is that they're saying that yeah, just do not piss off this idiot. That's it. And they cannot do anything about it. First of all, because they're also in wrong. So they cannot charge me with some certain felony or let's say conviction that you did something that is like against the rules. They cannot because I didn't broke nothing. No, whatever my attitude of duty doesn't apply there. So even though if I act like an ass of duty and they contacted me, it doesn't apply. Why? Because first of all, what if I encountered them from grocery and they did something stupid and I'm just going to call them out that I'm going to call them you're a fucking idiot. And they cannot just say, "Oh, HR," because first of all, we're not in the workplace. So there's like no fucking harassment. So I'm just going to treat you an ordinary citizen that I called your shit out. So by law, I win. Okay. Another thing is that yeah, the reason why I'm tired days ago is because oh yeah, speaking of Stallcraft, Yun Carry. So there is a reason why I'm salty after the stream during the after the Stallcraft stream. Okay, I'm going to be honest on one thing is that I got a little bit pissed off. I got a little bit pissed off that there's like a fuck tons of loners camping near spawn point. Lots of people complain. A bunch of loners camping literally next to the spawn point. I'm not kidding about this. They camp near it, and when you come out, then they will like just literally kill you. And the bad part here is that this is not a newbie that tends to kill you. No, it's a fucking higher level players. I know it's because when I saw their equipment list when I died, they have like a really good weapons. Are you EU Asia server play just normally? Yeah, that's my fucking point. Is that what do you call this on North America server? They just like fucking grief and they what do you call this? I don't know why the higher level players do fucking grief the newbies, and it's not only we who complain, but there is like other people who complain that they cannot progress anymore because all of the higher level most of the higher level players are camping near mission objective spawns, uh, near the bandit camp. They're also camping also on what do you call this? Um, loner camps and NATO camps. So how? Yeah, good question about that. How the fuck can we finish our mission? Yeah, that's the problem. They're like power tripping. So I got so fucking pissed that time is because I got killed by one of the loners that is well equipped and he stole my stuff. And when I came back, most of the bandits did kill him, right? And they're like taking the stuff, and I keep telling them that can you just like pass me the med kits and my 545 and buckshot and pistol rounds. They didn't do that. In fact, even my fucking fellow bandits didn't hear what I'm saying. They pass it to me, and I think like I spent 30 or 20 minutes begging for 5.45 because that time I'm broke. I'm literally broke. I don't have money because I'm saving it for the med kits. Just in, not really med kits, but for the other ammo. Because the problem here is that when I respond, usually you will get one free ammo, right? They're not. The game didn't fucking give me, and not to mention that I need something like 500 or 400 AK-74 is second 74 ammo is that I can even like hit for shit in distance using an iron sight. So I need more ammo just to like do some suppressive fire. Nobody did fucking give me, and I think one of the players that got irritated about my ranting and they just like okay, they just like decided to like hear me out. So they asked me who the fuck are they. So there is like I gave them hints, or let's say in an intel that there is like campers in mission objectives, also on certain areas that they shouldn't be there at the first place. So yeah, and I think like two people or three people joined my game after stream and they backed me up. So somehow we didn't die that much, but we still die because when we reach the cordon, I think there is like powerful player, but they're not griefers. Okay, I'm not going to call them griefers because they didn't grief. They just like ambush us in a proper manner. They waited for us, so they didn't even like shoot us from the entrance. They're there. They didn't do that. They played a fair game, so that's okay for me. Most of the time, we removed some bunch of I think like other players roaming around the mission objectives because I cannot continue my story. I cannot even like continue my playthrough. That's the problem. So I need help. And most of them are think like 4 or 5, 3 to 5, and some of them are wearing a best shit. So somehow I did manage to kill few, okay, few players because due to teamwork, they're like a little bit distracted, and I'm doing the suppressive fire, and they're like doing the flanking maneuvers, and sometimes I hit my bullets where it should be going. So yeah, I managed to kill few, but not that much because the other mates of mine do kill more, as in literal more. So yeah, anyhow, I would say it's not bad sometimes, and at the same time, it's really shitty at me for me. So okay, let's go with SCP-049. Actually, this is my fifth time that I'm watching this.
Ferdinand. There had, of course,
Actually, I want to like show you the 106 version is because there's like lots
the
of
son turned
survivors.
from a giver of life. The
There's like lots of survivors that goes into a SCP facility, but they didn't last long is because they encountered the old man.
thing that wakes the rooster and makes the crops grow, to an indiscriminate killer, wiping out all organic life forms. The world seemed truly lost, but one anomalous being made it his goal to soothe the hurt, to make it safe to step into the light once more. The Plague Doctor had done his best with the limited resources afforded to him at the abandoned Foundation site. The scientists had left behind all of their equipment when the Red Sun came, when they all were transformed. He had appointed himself the site director, willing to take up the mantle when no one else would. He had assembled a brave, brilliant team of fellow anomalies,
By the way,
equipment when the Red
speaking
Sun
of
came, when they all were site director. The eloquent
site director, this is my hot take when it comes to this guy. Actually, the SCP should promote him and give him tools and a larger containment site is because uh, I know that the plague doctor is a little bit crazy. Okay, Nick, Uni, or I'm just going to call you Nico. It's easy to like read it here. Uh, I think that they should promote him, although he's a little bit batshit crazy. Okay, I will admit that, but at the same time, he's trying to help the humanity, and we don't know. Maybe he can research something that is like beneficial for humanity. problem with the SCP Foundation is that they're like really short-sighted people. They tend to like contain and restrict something from an anomaly because they cannot control their power, or let's say they don't accept their definition of what is okay or not. So when it comes to like the plague doctor, I would say just give him some position as a researcher at least, and give him tools, equipment, also some test subject that died. Okay, not really facility. First of all, the problem with the plague doctor is that he creates zombies. A limited position only, limited, not unlimited like site director, but more of a researcher, senior researcher, or something like that. That gives him like clearance and power. Second is that they should let him experiment on certain anomalies that so that he might cure them, or let's say he can use that as a medicine. Another thing is the containment site, or let's say containment room, is that it should be big as a storage warehouse. Because example, if he's like fellow researcher, what if I need to like dispose of zombie because it's getting way too many, I'm just going to like ask the plague doctor directly that yo homie, can we get rid of the field experiments? He will say yes. You don't need to be a total dick when it comes to this guy. So he will say, "Oh, sure, you can like dispose of it, and you can like dispose of the zombies as long as you ask permission." Second, the fifth one, I think, he needs research assistant. The reason why he cannot progress that much because nobody is helping him. That's the problem. That's the problem with SV049 is that uh, other people are scared of him. And I do understand that because if he sends pestilence to other people, he will go aggressive. But I mean, like, no shit. You can just like find someone who doesn't have pestilence and they can be the research assistant so that they can he can accelerate his research so that he can be like safe SCP at least, right? Not Euclid. Uh, I think SCP Foundation dropped a ball when it comes to playing Doctor. Ah, shit.
and team of
Ah, fuck,
fellow
my back.
anomalies, the verbose Dr. Spanko, the eloquent adventurous Lord Blackwood, and the charismatic but ravenous Ferdinand. There had, of course, been those who scoffed at his vision, who did not share his noble goal.
By the way, speaking of Fernand, if you're like
And the charismatic but ravenous
this guy, this guy is a cannibal and a pathological liar because first of all he said he's fucking Sherlock Holmes or let's say Incredible. Uh, but he eats people. I'm not kidding about this. He literally eats people. And this guy is a British gentleman that transformed into a sea slug. Fernand is a little bit funny for me. I saw his story. But his stories is a little bit dark. Is because every time that the D class got entered his chamber, or let's say his palace, okay, palace, fake palace, as in fake, as in like fake as fuck. They fucking die after role playing or cosplaying as what do you call this as a Victorian British or let's say ancient court subjects, right? Because he's like playing dress up and they fucking died is because sometimes they accidentally disrespect him or let's say he just like decided to like, hey, I'm going to get this person and going to chop him and going to like eat him, and most of his food that he's like creating, yeah, made out of human body. And he's like the Hannibal Lecter of the SCP series.
Ferdinand. There had, of course, been those who scoffed at his vision, who did not share his noble goal. The abominable possessive mask taunted him persistently, trying its best to get under his chitinous skin. But he did not have time to waste on such trivial psychological games, and he ignored its
Karate
attempts
chop
to
on the
focus
words.
on the work. It hadn't been easy. Capturing one of the infected specimens, the former human being turned mass of oozing gelatinous flesh by the unholy light in the sky. One had made its way into the abandoned facility, sliding its way across the floor with an air of confused malice. It wanted to hurt, but it didn't know where it was, who it was, anymore. But it was frightened, the plague doctor could tell. A good physician always knows and can sense the fear and pain of a suffering person. It made his heart ache to see, and he knew
Well, that's a zombie, okay? The jelly zombies. So they don't have sentience anymore. Whatever they're feeling is not a human at all anymore. Knowing SCP-049 is really empathetic and when it comes to like the patients. At the same time, due to his misplaced thinking when it comes to like helping people, he ends up accidentally killing them with a fucking touch. Boop, and they fucking died.
there was only one thing to do: try to make this poor soul well again. "Everyone, please assist me in escorting the patient to my laboratory," the doctor called out. "This was once a man, and I believe with our combined intellect and resources, we can return him to his former state." Ferdinand took a step toward the slimy creature, licking his lips a bit. "Do you think I could have just a little bit of it? Oh, I'm so hungry, doctor," he begged.
Yeah, speaking of which, what he's saying, even other people, if they ran out of food, they can eat the jelly zombies or say the jelly monsters. But that is like really dangerous undertaking because first of all, they're like a little bit aggressive and they're like immune from physical damage. Fernand is not wrong about this. He can eat that, but knowing the plague doctor doesn't want to kill the patient for some reason, so he will say no on this. He will say no. But Ferdinand is right. So if he's hungry, he can eat the jelly monster, or let's say lure some few of them inside the facility and try to like what do you call this? He can like try to like lure them so that he can have food, right? I mean, like it's not a human being anymore, so it's okay to like eat them. Although it's like human flesh, though.
"No, no. It would go against my oath as a physician to allow any more harm to come to this poor fellow." The plague doctor shook his head solemnly. Fernand pouted but did not press the issue further. "No." The doctor rubbed his gloved hands together in anticipation of the next task. "It is imperative we contain our new friend safely. If you would, please." He gestured to several of his previous patients, now reanimated and ready to aid him with his research.
Actually, this is the one that I'm saying is that he can like turn. If he revives a dead person, he accidentally turns them into a fucking zombies. So there's like another zombie kind of zombie, and there's like another three sets of zombie that is like way different. By the way, SCP-049 did fight the virus zombies. Imagine this that I know that some of you are familiar with Resident Evil, right? Yeah, he keeps the zombies as his minions. He can control them. For I think what do you call this? His zombies are telepathically linked on his mind, so he can control them as per his orders. He can like do some voice commands. Speaking of which, so when it comes to like Resident Evil, imagine if the Ganados, it's aka Las Plagas. I'm just going to call them zombies too, but they're not exactly zombies. Fever zombies, the mold, and I think there's like enemies in Resident Evil Revelations that is not a zombie, but it's like a monster, but it's a level one monster there, right? And they meet up. I don't think that they will get along, and most likely they will kill. Original zombies are in Raccoon City, yeah. Those are the classic zombies. But remember, most of the lower tier enemies in Resident Evil, I do count them as zombies in different variants, but not actually a zombie. First of all, Ganados can be classified as zombie. because zombies can be broad when it comes to definition. Zombies doesn't have free will anymore. Um, Ganados do count as one. They don't have free will, as in they're literally controlled like an animals. Number two is they're hostile to any living beings. Ganados do count as one. Also the mold and other stuff. Although their difference is that they don't eat. Some of them don't eat humans at all, but still they're in definition still a zombie. So yeah, different variants, but still, yeah, it's something similar like this. Other on other video when it comes to like SCP series, that this kind of zombies fights the virus zombies because there is like an SCP that is like a virus. I'm not kidding about this. It's a biological weapon that is an SCP. I think it's a Keter, or let's say a Euclid, but I think the SCP Foundation did contain it. Yes, a literal virus SCP. Basically, it's a T virus, but it's not a T virus, but it looks like a T virus, and the SCP Foundation did manage to contain it. Okay, but it got leaked out in the facility, and there is like lots of zombies popping around because the people did die. And of course, the plague doctor did save the day again. He created another batch of zombies, and he turned himself into a, what do you call this, super doctor, and he just like managed to like cure the zombies affected by the virus. So that is like one of the awesome parts there, but at the same time, yeah, his zombies is a little bit different from virus zombies and slime monster zombies. So most of the time they're not getting along if they meet up. And not to mention these zombies are since he's there under his command, so when it comes to like if the plague doctor says that, oh, try to kill that SCP, they will do that. But then again, these zombies are literally weak as fuck. They can be killed by anything else, gunfire, SCPs, any shit. I forgot the
The
designation of
shuffling
that
figures surrounded
virus of SCP. So there is like an SCP designation here. Hold on. SCP virus zombie. I forgot the number of it. SCP-008. Okay. So SCP-008 is what do you call this? Is basically excuse me. SCP-008 is what do you call this, in universe equivalent of what do you call this, antivirus, and it is contained inside the chamber that has like an exosport. So I think this is the link I'm going to share. Sorry, because the Google browser is laggy. So yeah, this is the link. So SCP-008 is a complex prion, so basically it can like transform the DNA, the research of which is highly classified, primarily aimed at preventing research, which may lead to synthesis of 008 in the future. So the reason why they contained it, because anyone can get hands on it, especially terrorist groups or criminal groups, and they can sell it on the black market. So that's another reason why SCP Foundation did contain it. Not to mention that it can be used by group of interest, which is called, there's like bunch of them, case insurgency, um serpent's hand. There's like lots of enemies of SCPs there, SCP Foundation there, so they can use that bio weapon. And not to mention, this shit is effective. You spread it out in the city, basically you have a Resident Evil. Yes, it can be used for war, but recently, people doesn't use bio attacks because first of all, it can spread to the what do you call this to your to the soldiers are under you. So they it doesn't use in the war, but it's possible that they will use it for bioterrorism. And well, Agent Orange is not exactly a a bio weapon. It's more of a chemical weapon, and it is used in limited effect because America is aware that they can like accidentally kill their own men if they use it indiscriminately. So uh, actually, even on napalm, okay, it's a stereotype that they always use the napalm that they just like go to blow up some shit in Vietnam. But if you're going to ask me, when it comes to like napalm, they're using it sparingly, and not to mention napalm is a little bit expensive when it comes to like when it comes to funding. So they tend to use it as a strategic bomber. Of course, they have A-10 there, but that time they don't have like complex missiles to use against Viet Cong. So they tend to like use the napalm. But as I said before, you don't always use the napalm. You need to communicate with the Air Force first using the radio, so that you can use that. Because in Rising Star game or in Rising Storm game, you can do that, but you cannot do it every freaking time. Nico, drink. I need to like hydrate. Okay, fine. Okay, it is like 100% infectious. Okay, 100% lethality. Of course, it happened to the one scenario already. Transmission through exposed mucus and all bodily fluid. So just like in T virus, so it can be transferred to anyone else. Although, unlike in T virus, it's not airborne or waterborne. By the way, in SCP game, I do have an SCP game here. Is that um, to avoid being exposed by SCP-008, I'm just going to call it the T virus. Use a hazmat suit, fucking hazmat suit, and you're all good. So this is the infected zombie, and it looks like the zombie that the plague doctor uses. Same skin. So yeah, it's almost the same shit. So if you have a gun, you can kill the infected. So it is like object class Euclid is because you can contain it with proper containment procedures. So this is the what you call this the warning sign. So biological hazard, Euclid, and it's the picture. So actually, I'm just going to share. I'm also an SCP, right? Okay, I'm going to share it to you. It's going to open this VTuber Arts. Do you want to see my SCP logo? Warning sign. Actually, it needs more, a little bit more Photoshop because the first of all, the what do you call this? The numberings and the wording here is a little bit obvious that it is altered, and my picture here should be black and white. I would ask like other artists to like redo this logo so that it looks cooler. And of course, I can be like Keter or Euclid. Right now, currently, I'm a fucking Euclid, so I'm not going to like count myself as Keter anymore because I was like contained already. And of course, sentient violent, but I want to like add more of this is cognito hazard because other people do go fucking insane when interacting with me. Also, this is the document of SCP-008. So this is the dossier. So there's like bunch of containment procedures. So SCP-008 samples are extreme biological hazards. All related protocols apply. Incineration and radiation measures will be deployed in event of political and military action which result in facility being dismantled or a power failure. So just to like make it simple, you can use fire. You can use nukes. If there is like a massive containment breach and this virus spread all over the small town or say city, nukes will be deployed. Okay? Or napalm. So yeah, because it's a virus, so you can use a fucking nuke for it. I mean, like in Raccoon City, right? The reason why it got destroyed because of the nukes. The Raccoon City got nuked from the map. So when it comes to like viruses, you can like burn it. I mean, like it's like a common method
With the
for
blobby entity,
removing of
ushering it down the hall.
viruses.
Confused, lost, with no real sense of a plan left in its mushy consciousness, the creature followed where
Thank you
it
for
was
the
led.
hydrate.
The group made it back to the doctor's laboratory. Shouted Dr. Spanko from his place atop a nearby shelf. Yes, indeed, the doctor replied. Your standard operating table wouldn't.
Unit. Sorry.
Do for such a special patient. I have nowhere to place the restraints, you see. I will have to make do with the floor. Ferdinand, my bag, if you please. The giant rushed to his side, dropping the bag at his feet. If it dies, then can I eat it? He asked, shifting from one foot to the other like a child asking a parent for a second helping of ice cream.
Well, he can eat
If
it
I am
if it
unable to
fails.
save the patient, which I do deem unlikely, then yes, you may help me dispose of their remains. The doctor relented. But I do not hope it comes to that. He pressed a hand to his beak in deep thought for a moment, before opening his bag and pulling out a syringe filled with clear liquid. To begin, we must sedate the patient. He had no way to find a veins, and so he plunged the needle into the nearest section of the creature's soft surface, injecting a dose of sedative. Then he waited. The using motion of the entity
Okay, so when it
slowed
comes to
and
like the
stopped.
slime monsters, okay, I'm just going to call it as a slime monster too. They're immune from gunfire or any physical damage or less usage of conventional weapon. The only thing that you can like kill it with is reality warping powers. Of course, if you have reality warpers, these creatures are you can dispose of it. Or let's say if you're SCP aka God. So you can use your telekinetic powers and just like throw shit at it like buses, trucks, aircraft, a house you can like throw at it. You can destroy this. But if we're going to like fight it with the conventional weapons, grenades. Oh, by the way, RPG do fucking work against these creatures, okay? But if we're going to fight it with regular bullets, no, it doesn't work at all. Because they can like regenerate and they can like RPG. Yeah, you can use RPG against this one. Okay, as long as uh it has lots of force. Without lots of force, you can harm even the biggest slime monster here. So what you need to do is you can find an RPG. You need to have a telekinetic power, or you can use a reality warping power. You can just like make them disappear, vaporize them using your mind. And yes, there's other SCPs that does that, and that's the only moment that other SCPs that can be helpful on this scenario. But if you're going to ask me if you're like an ordinary human being, your chance to like survive this apocalypse would be 1% if you're like solo, 5% if you have like a teammate. But most of the time, you will fucking die if you got unlucky in this scenario because outside, if you got exposed a little bit on the sun, you will melt. You will fucking melt. Just like what happened to this guy. The only thing that I did notice that they can be sedated. So you use some tranquilizers and it will get knocked out.
It lay there on the ground, a still mound of flesh, save for the occasional expanding and contracting motion, almost as if it was breathing. Excellent. Now there was no risk of the patient fleeing the operating room mid-procedure. He could truly begin. It was an arduous process that took hours of effort, of taking small tissue samples,
8 hours.
attempting to make incisions only for the flesh to fuse back together seconds
See,
after
this
the
is what I'm
scalpel was
saying.
taken away. This was truly an advanced illness.
This is
Unlike
what I'm saying. If he tries to like take a tissue sample, especially damaging the creature, it will fucking regenerate. And I said before, you cannot kill it. Other zombies you can kill with the conventional weapons, even katana if you want to. But this one, no.
anything he
By
had
the
ever
way,
seen before, it was
Billy
enough
is
to make him
suicidal.
question his abilities as a doctor, but he shook the thought away. Self-pity never helped anyone. After about 8 hours of continuous work, he had a breakthrough. A solution he had created long ago. A thick green liquid sealed in a dusty jar had a miraculous effect when dripped onto one of the tissue samples. The melted flesh reconstituted, became solid and human again. Eureka! He cried
Eureka!
out, unable to restrain the sudden joy that leaped into his heart.
Eureka!
This could be it. Very carefully, he filled the dropper with the green liquid. If these initial trials had been successful, then perhaps he couldn't finish the thought. Best not to get ahead of himself. He crossed to his patient and slowly began to pour the solution over the creature's viscous surface. He watched as the flesh toughened, coming together into a surface resembling human skin. It was working. It was working. But then the creature began
I
to
think the
quiver,
panacea
shaking
can work.
uncontrollably like a bowl of jelly in an earthquake. The surface rippled,
Ah,
and the
shit,
doctor could
shit,
hear a
shit,
high-pitched
shit, shit, shit.
whine filling the room. Then, with a wet pop, the patient exploded, sending chunks of flesh splattering all over the room, painting the walls and ceiling. The doctor cried out in shock and horror, and in spite of himself, fell to his knees in despair. He had
Okay, here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to spoil the other one. Why he fucked up. First, he overdosed his so-called test subject or patient. He fucking overdosed with his medicine. When it comes to medications, because I take medications, never go above the recommended dosage. It's not specified. It's just like a green jar of liquid. Oh yeah, speaking of which, another thing that is like mistake of an SCP Foundation is that they didn't even like bother researching what kind of medicine he does produce. So, for example, if I'm the scientist, I would ask SCP-049 kindly to so that I can like analyze the medicines he produced, because first of all, he doesn't state what kind of medicine he produces. It's just like green jar of liquid. Another thing is that is a problem here. Is that not only overdose that he gave to a patient, he because when it comes to medications, you need to put to do it in intervals. For me, it takes me like 6 hours to 12 hours at most to take my other set of medicine. He needs to like do it intervally. So few dosage on the first one, second dosage for the second one, not pour half of the bottle to that patient because it will fucking die. And it happened. It exploded into a pieces of human blood. So yeah. By the way, I don't know. It's just like green jar of liquid. So maybe it's a herbs. Maybe it's a tissue sample that is like mixed up in the water. So it's not specified. Knowing the plague doctor, he just like create shit out of nowhere. Yeah. Here's the thing: is that his bag has unlimited tools and medicine. It's like a library or shelves of medications and medical tools there. So if he wants to have a microscope, he can pull it out from his bag. It's like a fucking wormhole.
had been so close, but still, he had failed. And who could say when he would find another test subject? If he would ever find a cure? I'm afraid I do not know what to do now, the doctor admitted. Fernand sighed. The next several days passed in a haze. The doctor paced around his laboratory, mulling over his possible mistakes again and again. He had rushed the process, he was certain of that now. It was a novice mistake, the sort of thing he might have done a century or two ago. How could he have been so foolish? How could he have made that innocent pay the price for his own hubris? As the doctor locked himself away in his mind palace, Fernand
See what I said
occupied himself by
earlier?
practicing his
He
favorite
rushed
songs.
the
Lord Blackwood rode
procedure.
on the massive man's
He should
shoulder
have like
as he
waited
sang through the
on
opera
one dose
Don
only.
Giovanni.
Not
I
two,
once
not
saw a
three.
production of this at the Teatro La Fenice in Venice, Lord Blackwood interjected, his rhinopores twitching in delight at the memory. Marvelous production, marvelous city. I was there hunting a rogue tatzelworm, wrecking havoc through the canals. I nearly lost my life on that voyage.
Would you all be quiet for once in your miserable lives?
A voice hissed from the shadows. There in the doorway, its face fixed in a frown, was the possessive mask. Black slime dripped from its eye holes, spilling down onto the plastic mannequin body it had taken hold of.
Speaking of, since I don't know if you're familiar with SCP-045, aka the Possessive Mass. Okay, just like summarize this, he's evil mass that possesses people, so he mind controls them, and there's like incidents that other people do release him from the box container, and they will put that shit on their faces, and they will like die instantly, and they will get mind controlled. So their corpses are being puppeted by this mask. And his history is that he's one of the old jester of Scarlet King. So Scarlet King is the Satan of SCP universe. He got transformed into a mask, a porcelain mask, and not to mention he's evil like Joker, and not to mention he's also an omnicidal maniac. And third is that he's a fucking troll. Yeah, sure. Hug the Scarlet King and what? Yeah, he's like into a fucking distraction and pure evilness. He's like a cartoonish villain.
Listening to you both is worse than being locked in that infernal box.
The mask looked around the room, searching for someone.
Where is the good doctor?
It asked, voice dripping with disdain.
Still moping about, counting his failures.
Ignore him, my fine fellow, Lord Blackwood whispered to Fernand. Only those with weak constitutions and no achievements of their own spend their days dragging others down.
Yep.
When you have lived as long
Exactly.
as I, you will learn this.
Careful, my lord. I'll stop by the kitchen and find some salt to pour on you.
He said that I'll stop by the kitchen and find some salt to pour on you. He's just like trying to roast the slug at the same time, and he's just like threatening him with passive aggressive manner. Yeah, he's a slug, so if you like pour a salt on that, it will kill the fucking slug. Okay. Yeah, he's like fucking troll.
Stop by the kitchen and find some salt to pour on you.
If you wish to fight me, then challenge me to a fair duel like a man, the colorful slug bellowed. Drawn by the sudden shouting, the doctor walked into the room. What is all this commotion?
Oh, good.
The mask clapped its plastic hands together, its face warping back into an eerie smile.
There you are. This has all been so dreadfully boring. I came to see the remnants of your greatest shame. Are there still bloodstains on the floor in your pathetic little laboratory?
You are a villain, the
You
doctor
are a
seethed.
villain.
Uncomfortable with the air of conflict in the room, Fernand and Lord Blackwood quickly exited to find another space where they could sing and share stories in peace.
I simply speak the truths no one wants to hear.
Actually,
The
I
mask
do
crossed to
agree
the
with
doctor's side
possessive
with a
mass
series of light
that
dance-like steps that made
zero,
the mannequin body
the
creak.
plague doctor is
In fact, I have quite a
what do you call
few
this?
things to share today. I've been outside.
The plague doctor is
see.
like really
Whatever's
naive.
become of the sun only affects organic beings, and
So, he gestured from his ceramic face to his plastic body.
I am quite safe from its rays.
You've been outside. The doctor couldn't keep the curiosity out of his voice. He was a scientist after all.
Why, yes. Would you like to know what I've seen?
Black slime dripped from the mask's mouth, pooling on the floor with a sizzling sound. I'm in no mood for tricks, the doctor warned. The mask held up his hands in mock surrender.
No tricks, Doctor. But if you'd rather take your chances outside and see for yourself, I can take my leave now.
No, the doctor shook his head. Please, do tell me.
It's so much worse than you could even imagine.
The mask's words were bleak, but its tone was gleeful.
Everywhere you look out there,
The light has made monsters.
humans, dogs, cats, mice, the wild beasts of the forest, all melted down into creatures you would not even recognize. But that isn't all. No, that is not all. There are massive beasts 10 feet tall or
So okay, since some of you guys, I think like you watch it already or not, um, those massive beasts do fucking merge. Example, there is like a slime zombies. So most of the time, those slime zombies doesn't have independent thought anymore, and they're like literally dead. So the slime monster is like a hive mind that they can like control other beings that is like melted already, and they can like merge after they're luring it. And sometimes like other people that is not transformed yet, uh, they tend to like also lure it using sound of their loved ones. So they can like what do you call this? They can imitate human voices or let's say dog. So if one of the victims got tricked that um they got tricked that this might be my son or my husband or my wife or my girlfriend or my boyfriend or let's say it's my dog or it's my cat. So once they got lured and got near the monster, they will like fucking drag those monsters will fucking drag the what do you call this, the victim outside, and they will just raise the victim on the sun near on the okay outside, and they will point it to the sun, and once it melted, they will merge the body. They will like fucking merge the body on their growing masses of flesh. I mean like
more even dozens and dozens
the
of living
possessive mask
creatures
will like
coming
explain
together.
this.
They fuse and meld into one giant entity, roving the streets in search of more and more bodies to add to the pile. An oozing, gaping maw of hunger and hate that seeks only to consume and destroy. It calls out to surviving humans in the voices of their fallen loved
Yeah,
ones.
this is what I'm saying.
Tugs at their heartstrings to lure them out of their hiding place.
So they literally lure the humans with their own voices. Even the animals are not immune to it. So if the pets did escape, yeah, even animals can get fooled too. So most of the victims are humans because the loved ones got turned into yes, even fanboys, all of the human beings got wiped out because of this shit. So they got like lured outside, and because of that voice, imagine that if like Uni got merged into a monster and she's just like saying, come with me, play outside, and I'm just like, okay. I'm just like, what do you call this? It's just like I got fooled or let's say mesmerized. Like, okay, fine, I'm just going to go outside, and when I step outside, I'm fucking melting, shit, and I fucking died. And of course, those monsters will like get my body, and I will get turned into one, like a giant monster that you see right now.
Places, and then it wraps around them with fleshy tentacles, pulling them in until they are no more. Just another part of the monster. Oh, Doctor, it's terror. It's an abomination. I could watch it all day.
The doctor wanted to believe the mask was lying, that it was trying to torment with him with awful fabrications, but after all he had seen so far, he knew that its words were true. "Get out of my sight," he said.
Or what?
The mask stared him down with its unmoving smile. "I've seen what you do to your hosts, you know. Your body won't last forever," the doctor growled. True. Maybe next I'll take yours." The mask laughed a long, dark laugh of something ancient and evil. Then it turned and walked out the door, leaving the doctor alone. He spent so much of his time that way lately. His assistants were preoccupied. His former patients provided no real company, and so he did what he did best: carry on in solitude. He couldn't be sure how long he stood there in silence, thinking of what the mask told him. He knew it was dangerous outside, knew he was up against powerful destructive forces, but it was even worse than he had thought. What if the world was truly doomed? What if this was how it all ended? Not with a bang, but with a great melting. Suddenly, the doctor heard a sound he hadn't heard since the sun turned wrong. A scream. A human scream. Could it be? He had to see for himself. He grabbed his bag of tools and rushed down the hall, his robes fluttering behind him. There it was again. A different human voice, screaming in terror. As he grew closer to the sound, he could hear footsteps, various other voices overlapping with each other. He rounded the corner, and there they were. A group of 5 humans, wrapped in tattered clothes, dirty and exhausted. Behind them was the entrance to what looked like a tunnel. Somehow they found a secret passage and made their way inside. Then he saw what made them scream. Clearly these people were afraid and unaccustomed to the sight of a man of Ferdinand's stature, especially when the man was drooling and staring at them with hunger in his eyes. He would have to defuse.
By the way, since in the previous video, Fernand barely ate a human being, so this is why he's like really hungry. Usually, SCP Foundation, one of the containment procedures for him is that feed Fernand with corpses of dead human flesh. He doesn't eat anything. He doesn't eat meat, human meat. I mean, like animal meat, or he doesn't eat much vegetables. Yeah, I mean, sure, he mixes vegetables in his food, but he prefers human meat. So this explains why he's like so fucking hungry right now. Not to mention that he lost the opportunity to eat the slime monster.
The situation quickly. "Hello, welcome. We mean you no harm, strangers." He stepped between Fernand and the humans. The man at the front of the group brandished a firearm, pointing the barrel directly at the doctor's beak. "Please, sir, there's no need for violence."
What are you?
The man stammered. The other members of his party cowered behind him. "An ally, if you will permit me to be. I'm a physician, you see, working on a cure for the condition that plagues the world." With a shaking hand, the man slowly lowered his gun. He did not put it away, though.
You've figured out a cure for those things?
"I am in the process of developing it. So far, I have not been successful, but perhaps with your help."
How do we know we can trust you? The man demanded. How am I supposed to know you're not part of this?
Do
Well-
you know who this man is?
Fernand bellowed.
This is Dr. John Watson, and I am Detective Sherlock Holmes, the greatest investigator in the world. There isn't a case we can solve.
Oh my god. He is fucking Sherlock Holmes. Nice. Uh, bruh. Sherlock Holmes and what's because okay, I'm going to explain why he calls himself Sherlock Holmes is because Fernand is a pathological liar. As I think I said earlier that he's like playing cosplays of different culture icons. He played as Incredible Hulk. He played as Sherlock Holmes. He dressed up like a king of France, king of England, king of Britain. He became an Irish. You know, all of that sort of that shit, and he fucking believed on his lies to the point that he thinks like he's the fucking Sherlock Holmes. And he called the gentleman slug as Doc Dr. Watson. Wow. And the reaction is so fucking epic.
The man looked at the woman next to him, and the two shared a wide-eyed glance.
This guy's crazy.
He whispered furtively. Put your weapon away and we can speak more calmly, the doctor proposed. At this inopportune moment, a few of his revived patients
And this is the moment he
the man
fucked up.
screamed again. This time he fired his weapon, shooting at one of the walking corpses. The bullets ricocheted off the walls and several of the patients were hit.
Please stop!
With no other option, the doctor grabbed the man's arm, hoping to get a hold of the weapon and end the potential bloodshed. As soon as his gloved hand made contact, the man went limp and dropped to the ground with a hard thud. The woman next to him pulled him into her arms, checking his pulse.
He's dead!
She shrieked, tears streaming down her face.
I am so sorry, my lady. I did not intend.
She grabbed the man's gun and trained it on the doctor once more.
You killed him!
She cried. The other survivors were too shaken to speak, to move. One of them had his back turned to the group and was staring into the darkness behind him. Whatever he was looking at, it was worse than the chaos unfolding. But no one noticed the beige flesh tentacle snaking along the ground until it was too late. Until
And they
it had
got
grabbed the
invaded
hold
by
of the
those
man's ankle and
slime
dragged
monsters
him
here.
into the tunnel with a shriek of pure, unadulterated terror. The woman nearly dropped her gun at the sound, whirling around to see what had happened. Deep in the tunnel, the scream warped into a wet gurgling sound, and then there was silence for a long moment. But then, something worse. A gooey, slimy sound. The sound of something enormous, something soft and fleshy.
By the way, these creatures do remind me of what you call these monsters in Tiberian game. It's called Command and Conquer, right? Viceroids. So in Command and Conquer Tiberian series, that if the person got exposed to Tiberium, they will turn into a fleshy monster that merge with other viceroids, and they're like really hostile to other life, and sometimes they can like destroy buildings or walls, and they will just like try to like absorb and kill other human beings. And I did encounter those viceroids in Tiberian Sun. It's a really old strategy game. If that viceroid got bigger and it merged into one, basically it will like go into my base and destroy my base. So what I do, if I see a Viceroid, I tend to like kill it immediately, especially if it's like nearby me, and if it's like really small, I will get rid of it immediately. But if it's like bigger, I would like what do you call this? Consolidate my forces to get rid of it, because if I'm fighting other people, or let's say other faction, and I'm dealing with the fucking viceroy, it's a little bit dangerous, because if you didn't check your base, viceroids can destroy your base, number one. And number two is that if you got distracted by those viceroids while trying to fight it off, the enemy will like invade and destroy your base too. And this shit reminds me of that monster.
Making its way through the tunnel and toward the group. Another tentacle curled around the edge of the opening, then another joined it. Something emerged that might have once been a hand, but had melted into something unrecognizable. The monster emerged piece by piece until the doctor could see the entire thing. It looked like a heap of people, dozens of them clambering on top of each other, wrapping their limbs together until their flesh and insides emptied out and fused into a shapeless mass. It moved a bit like a giant slug, slimy and slow, but it seemed to know it could take its time. As the survivors scrambled back away from it, Ferdinand and the doctor taking a few steps back of their own, the sound of human voices filled the room. There were unintelligible whispers, the soft giggle of a child, a woman weeping.
Come and be with us.
A little boy's voice broke through the cacophony.
Mommy, I miss you. Don't you miss me?
The woman with the gun let out a broken sob.
Billy,
she sniffled.
Yeah,
It's me, Mommy.
she
The innocent
shouldn't
voice
like
continued, emanating from somewhere deep inside
she
the
shouldn't
monstrous
like
mass
believe
that
on
crept
this
along the ground,
monster because she
swelling
will
and
fucking
grasping
die.
with its ropey tentacles. Come play with me outside. All you have to do is come outside. Madame, the creature is not who it claims to be. The doctor spoke up, and it seemed to shake the woman out of a trance. You're not my son, she hissed, squeezing the trigger and firing at the monster. The bullet made contact with a wet, useless slap and disappeared into the roving pile of the fallen. She
Yeah,
fired
bullets
again and
doesn't
again,
work shit.
but the monster did not
Yep.
stop. It did not even slow down. It lashed out with a tentacle that wrapped around her throat in a single fluid motion and snapped her neck with a crack. She fell to the ground and the tentacle pulled her into its depths until she was no longer visible. She hadn't been taken by the sun, not yet, but she was still lost. The rest of the survivors followed, their screams silenced one by one. The doctor felt the same overwhelming sense of hopelessness wash over him, the same shadow that had passed over him when he lost the last patient. What could he do? He was one physician against an overpowering force of destruction. Perhaps he...
By the way, just to add on this, so one of the earlier videos that SCP Foundation did figure out how to like slow down the monster. Aside from doing it in actually it's conventional means, they can slow the monster using a blue flame. Blue flame, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the hottest flames that you can use, and you can use it for the flamethrower. Although it doesn't stop the monster, but you can like buy yourself time to escape using the that certain flamethrower. But then again, most of the people doesn't have that kind of knowledge, or let's say most of them doesn't have materials to create a flamethrower. But still, other people did try to use a flamethrower, but they use the yellow flame or orange flame, so it doesn't work with that monster. So they're also immune from what they call as flamethrowers, is because yeah, the sun outside is like equivalent of like what, being burnt. So, but still, blue flames do work pretty well on the last video. Although they're like trying to kill it instead of like running away, so the MTF didn't last long.
could touch it and would fall dead like so many other organisms before. But what if it didn't? What if instead it wrapped around his body and squeezed the life from him? What if it carried him out into that cursed sunlight and he melted away like the others? He had to make a decision because the beast was advancing toward
I
him.
don't think that
Doctor!
Ferdinand shouted.
It's going to destroy our facility!
Indeed, the creature was flailing its appendages around, beating against the walls and trying to tear down steel and plaster, break down the shelter, until they too were exposed to the deadly light. I'm afraid this may be the end, my friend, the doctor lamented. I can see no hope for us now.
No!
Ferdinand shook his head.
no.
Let me save us. Let me
Let me
lead it
save
back
us.
outside. You'll be taken.
The doctor cried.
Perhaps not. I am a magnificent specimen after all. I believe I can withstand the sun and return to continue our work
Nope.
together.
Ferdinand scooped his sleeping Lord Blackwood from his shoulder and placed him gingerly on a nearby shelf.
Thank you for your company.
See, that's a problem with Fernand, is that he's believing the lies that is given to him, or he made what he made. First of all, Fernand is still a human being, although not all of the SCPs are literal monsters. Okay, they look human beings, so Fernand is still a human. Although he's like incredibly strong and immune from bullets, uh, but if he got exposed to the sun, yeah, he will melt. And number two is that he cannot overpower that monster because that monster can break buildings. I don't think that Fernand can break the facility using his bare fist. Although he's big, he has like arms that is like size of punching bags. But those monsters are really, really fucking strong. So it's useless. It's fucking useless anyway. He will die.
Then he turned back to the doctor.
And thank you for my freedom and your friendship. It has been an honor.
Before the doctor could protest, Ferdinand was running, his thunderous steps pounding the earth as he led the monster in a chase. It took the bait, following this new large target back outside. He sealed off the tunnel behind them, ensuring the beast would not return the way it came. He wanted to believe Ferdinand's bravado, to think that the behemoth of a man had survived outside. But that night, he saw the great beast ooze past a window, and he could make out that familiar, wide, toothy grin protruding from its side. Just like that, the greatest assistant he had ever had was
Yeah, he
lost.
fucking melted.
Thank you for your service, my friend.
He
He
fucking
whispered
melted.
to himself.
I solemnly swear to you, your death shall not be in vain.
Now go check out When Day Breaks SCP-049 and When Day Breaks SCP-096. What do you do when the
Yeah,
sun
but
turns?
actually, there is like no loss because if there's a survivors there, Fernand will eat them and SCP-049 will accidentally kill them again. So I don't think there is a loss if some SCPs died when it comes to like when day breaks. But then again, it's better to survive. But I don't know if the plague doctor will able to stop Fernand to like eat someone. I'm just like bringing this point that it depends on what kind of scenario.
Wrong. When light, which once represented life, joy, and warmth, becomes a symbol of death and destruction, do you hide inside? Shutter the windows, keep out the light by any means necessary? Do you retreat underground, where the sun's rays cannot penetrate, burrowing into the dark and the cold? Do you simply give yourself to it, accepting that there is no escaping something so vast, so far-reaching as sunlight itself, and allow yourself to be lost in the end of all things? We've covered this possibility before. SCP-001, When Day Breaks, or SD-Lock's proposal. It's difficult to know what any given person might do in such harrowing circumstances. After all, we have always learned to love the light and fear the darkness. It turns our very understanding of reality upside down to have that paradigm shifted, the dark becoming safety and the light becoming death. The source of all life on Earth, of all warmth, transforming in an instant from the sun as we know it to an Apollyon-class SCP that
Yep, this is the SCP-001, basically our sun that turned into a what do you call this? An entity that turns everyone into a living zombies. And actually, it's really hard to escape this shit. I think like I discussed this that when it comes to like this kind of apocalypse, you're not dealing with the zombie slime creatures. Yeah, there's like multiple SCP-001, but for majority fan votes, when it comes to like fandom, this one is way more canon than let's say Scarlet King's invasion of Earth. Because this one is a little bit realistic. Actually, it's like what do you call this end of the world? That is like yeah, it's kind of like an end of the world scenario that is like really little bit closer to reality. I mean, like no shit. In real life, sooner than later, our sun will explode or let's say give out. So it will turn into a blue star, or let's say it can turn into it will explode, or let's say it will just like run out of gas and will what do you call this? You know, it will just like go out and it would be like shit for us in Earth because first of all, the only thing that we will encounter once the sun dies or something bad happened to it is that either we will burn alive. Number one. Number two is we will like literally what do you call this? Our crops will die. Our crops and there would be no water. The water will end up vaporizing, or let's say there would be earthquakes. The earth will break down. Other planets will hit us, or let's say asteroids will hit us. So this one is like one of the most accepted 001, not the Demon King's invasion. So this one, you would, uh, I imagine myself in this scenario. I don't think I will last long with this. First of all, is that it's really hard to like find survivors. You would be lucky if you have like underground station that you will meet others. Number two is that some of the survivors that you will meet will die because first of all they will get caught by the sun or moonlight. They will get by slime creatures. Slime creatures. They will drag into. They will be dragged into that monster. You will deal with fucking criminals, warlords, or rogue governments. You will deal. You will deal with other SCPs too. I'm not kidding about this. The other SCPs they go out from their containment cells and they're just causing havoc outside. So you're dealing with multiple shit, and you will deal with hunger, coldness, lack of shelter, thirst, and of course infection is because you don't have a way to shit or piss or let's say take a bath. That's the problem here. So if you go solo, your chances of living in this scenario would be 1% or less than one. But if you have like teammates or let's say allies or let's say you have like a fellow survivors, I would say somewhere like 5% to 10%. But most of the time it would be 5% less because some of the survivors doesn't last long because either they get shot, they get stabbed, they got murdered by SCPs, they got turned into slime monsters or just melted away. So or just died from starvation or let's say cold or infection. So yeah, people barely survive this, and other survivors do fucking die. It's covered in the other video. So only few population in the world left, and most of them are being hunted down by other SCPs too. Just to take note.
Melts all living organisms that cross into its gaze. But what about a being that has always feared the light? Something that prioritizes solitude and never ever wants to be seen. How might it live out those darkened days? Today we're taking a look at what happens when daybreak meets a familiar face, even if a constantly hidden one. SCP-096. SCP-096, or the Shy Guy, is something of a celebrity around here. It is a humanoid creature with long
By the way, just disclaimer. So, chat, you will not die if you're like going to look at SCP-096 right now, because it's just a drawing. Okay, it's not his actual drawing that is like really accurate. Not to mention, this is not a picture. This is not actual video of his. This is not his live feedback. Okay, so he will not hunt you down on the other side of the world. Okay. So it's basically safe, and he's just like what do you call this? It's a badly made drawing. But other people do fucking die because I think there's like one story that you just like look at the picture and SCP-096 is a dot on that picture. He's just like looking at it. Suddenly SCP-096 just like appeared at his back, and he got like fucking smashed to pieces. Um, yeah, SCP-096 doesn't want his face to be what do you call this? He doesn't want to get looked at. This is the point. So even if you hide on the other side of the world, he will like fucking chase you and breach the containment. So yeah, other will die because they will accidentally see SCP-096 face, aka the Shy Guy. So there would be lots of people getting killed by this creature. So the only thing that can save you is that do not look at this creature if it's like around you. Second is that blind people are immune from SCP-096. Like they cannot see him, so he will not attack them, even if they're like next to each other.
distended arms, pale skin, and a jaw that can open 4 times wider than an ordinary human's. There is only one thing above all else that this entity desires: for no one to see its face. When someone views its face, it flies into an uncontrollable rage and seems to have no other option but to destroy the person who has seen it. So it is unlikely that a creature so intent on solitude would be in much danger from the transformed sun. In fact, it might even be a positive thing, and for some time it was. With so many human beings gone, reduced to gelatinous masses with no desire but to slither around in the ghoulish sunlight and merge with one another, there were fewer people to observe his face than ever. He could stay inside and know with almost complete certainty that no one would come to bother him. No one was coming to look at him, and there were no more visitors, researchers poking and prodding that might sneak a look at his face. And so he stayed there, in the room that had served as his containment unit before the world turned upside down. The masses of flesh that once were humans did not concern him, as they never looked at his face. All he did was stay in his room and never go outside. The outside frightened him terribly, though he was not concerned with the deadly sunlight or the possibility of it melting him as it had so many others. He was much more afraid that someone, some unlikely survivor clinging to their original life, might look at him, that they might see his face.
Even the blob
That
doesn't
was
want him.
simply
Yeah,
too
because first of all, the blobs doesn't know him. Not to mention that for some reason they don't regard him as a living being. So this is weird part because first of all, even though SCP-096 is not sentient, it's still an organic being and they can still absorb him. So there is like a plot holes when it comes to this story.
distressing to risk. He would much rather stay alone in his old cell, weeping softly in the shadows. One day, though we couldn't say how many days after the end of things it had been, he was weeping alone in his former cell. The days blurred together, spent the same way, and time had lost much of its meaning. Through the echoing sound of his sobs and the sloshing sounds of the creatures outside, a woman's voice cut through. It was faint, but he could make out what she was saying. She was calling out for help, asking if anyone had any food or fresh water. The sound was getting louder, closer, accompanied by the disconcerting thump of her footsteps. She was coming down the hall, as much as it could be called a hall anymore. She was coming towards his room to disrupt his miserable peace. He heard her steps cross the threshold of his room, and her voice broke into a terrified scream. No doubt at the unexpected sight of a pale, naked creature weeping in the corner.
Ah,
of what
shit,
she
you're dead,
expected
lady.
to
You're
be an
dead, you're
empty
dead, you're
room.
dead.
Startled by the first loud sound he'd heard in a long time,
And
in a
she
world that
view
had
his
mostly been
face.
silent since the initial outpouring of agonized screams had faded into the soft slap of
She's
flesh
fucking
and
dead.
slime on the ground, he turned around. He shouldn't. Ordinarily, he wouldn't, but he couldn't stop himself. There he saw a woman, wide eyes filled with tears, face streaked with dirt, a small child next to her holding her hand and clinging to her leg. Just as he saw the woman, she saw him. She saw his face. Anger boiled over inside of him, and he let out a scream, wild, primal, and filled with inhuman rage. She could not be looking at him, seeing his face. He couldn't let her. The woman ran with the child in tow, panicked by the wild roar and the sight of him standing upright before her. The anger faded as she left his sight, making her way down the hall and to the stairs. But then he remembered. She had seen his face. He could not let her leave. It was time to do something he never thought he'd have to do again.
By the way,
Hide. His heightened
SCP-096 is incredibly strong for a really thin guy. Because he has like anomalous strength, as in like literal superhuman anomalous fucking strength here.
senses picked
He
up
can
the
like
sound of
destroy the
muffled
walls.
footsteps coming up through the floor below him. She was downstairs, just beneath the floor where he was standing. His instincts kicked in, and his body moved almost of its own accord. He lifted his long, long arms above his head and drove his hands down into the floor. It was weakened by the ravages of the elements and time, and crumbled under his unnatural strength. He dug his claws into the plaster, tearing it apart and cracking it into pieces. He pushed his claws in deeper and deeper until he could feel them breaking through the other side. He pulled the floor apart until the hole was wide enough to fit through, then dropped down to the room below. He spotted the woman's back, fleeing through the door just as he landed. She was getting away. He tore after her, ripping through concrete and steel, destroying everything in his path in a mad dash for the object of his rage. He had to catch her. She could not be allowed to leave.
Yeah,
She
when it
looked
comes to
over
like
her
the
shoulder
game, actually Yunkari, we can like collab soon. If you want, we can play SCP Containment Breach. Take note. There's like different SCPs here. On SCP-173, the peanut statue, you need to stare at it. So if we're in the team, if you're going to like fucking blink, just tell me blink so that I can stare at it. And if it's my turn to blink now, I will say blink so that you can like stare at it too. Because if you blink or look away, the statue will like go near you, as in like it will like fucking walk, and it's really fast, and it can like snap our necks. When it comes to shy guy, what we need to do, here's the thing, it's really easy. Do not, yeah, the game inside the game you have like a blink mechanic there. So if you run, you can like there's like indicator on the left side that there's like a blink meter. So if you run, the blink meter will decrease. So you can like manually press the blink button so that you can blink. With by the way, when it comes like shy guy, if you encounter him, what you need to do is do not look at his direction. Do not look at his face because he will like chase you to the other side. Uh, although there's like few moments that you can escape from shy guy. One of it is using the Russian gas mask to teleport on the other world. But it's a little bit dangerous because you don't know if there's other SCPs there, or let's say, and it can decrease your health. So if you're going to use the gas mask, for shy guy, it's a little bit easy as long as there's no SCPs on the other side. You shouldn't like view its face. To be better, just like look away, and you can just like backstep and avoid seeing him. And he will not attack you if you didn't see his face at all. I say like literally, even if you're like next to each other, he will not hit you or anything because first of all, he doesn't want to be seen with his face. That's it. Another thing, there is like another SCP there that is like really dangerous. It's called SCP-106, aka the old man, the rotting old man. So for old man, I don't know how to like escape him or let's say run away from him. Every time that I run away, he just like appeared in front of me, and he just like teleported from his wormhole, and he just like dragged me down on his pocket dimension. So I don't have any good advice for it because he always like fucked me up. And there's like other SCPs like possessive mess, the shadow people. The old man do tend to like grab you from what do you call this, to his pocket dimension, and you need to escape from his pocket dimension maze after he captured you. But if you try to like stay there, he will just like kill you on his maze. So that's another thing, that this is the reason why I don't like to fight the old man, is because basically he's hacks. He's literally hacking. Like you run away from him from other room, right? He just like pacing through a fucking door. And sometimes he just like appearing in front of you. Like suddenly he's just like popping out from the floor, and he will just appear in front. So you need to like go to the other side. The problem here is that when I run away from him, suddenly there's like SCP-173 on the right side, and shit. By the time that I'm literally near at that peanut statue, and it fucking snapped my neck. That's the
Him,
problem.
her face a mask of pure terror. She knew, just as he knew, that there was no escape in sight. In his single-minded obsession and her desperation to escape from him, neither of them noticed that she had run so far and so carelessly that she was now outside the building. She had crossed from the shadows into the harsh light of the sun. The woman's eyes widened in grim understanding of her fate. He could only watch helplessly as her body began to succumb to the vicious rays. Almost instantly, she began to melt. As it was closest to the sun, her head was the first to go. Her nose
And
drooped
she
like hot
fucking
wax,
melted.
dripping as it went
She fucking
until
melted.
it slumped off her face and landed on the ground with a sickening splash. Her eyes were next, popping out of their sockets and hanging loose and limp on her cheeks and dangling from sinewy strands. She tried in vain to stuff them back into place, but they squished in her hands like overripe fruit. She attempted to run into the comparative safety of the ruined building, but her feet were already beginning to spread out onto the street, melting into a sticky red smear on the pavement. Her legs crumbled beneath her, and she collapsed to the ground, her face leaving a trail of gelatinous flesh as it landed. She tried uselessly to drag herself along the ground back into the darkness, but her arms were
But
melting
she's
into the
too late
dirt,
already. By the
mixing with
time
it into a
that
horrible red mud. She let out a last scream of agony, but the sound turned to a thick gurgle as her
she
lips
reaches
fused
the other
together
side,
and her mouth
even
melted
if she
into
survives,
nothingness.
she
He
will fucking
watched it
die too.
all, sobbing and roaring in frustration. She was gone, and he would never get the satisfaction of ending her. The infernal sun had stolen her from him. Now, she was nothing but a wet shadow, like the rest of the humans had become long ago. He heard the sound of a soft sob behind him, a tiny human voice. He turned, looking for the source. There was the little girl. He had almost forgotten about her. She was calling out for her mother and crying, and she was looking right at him, right at his face. He waited for the anger to overtake him, but instead, there was nothing. Why wasn't he angry? She was looking at his face, so why? Then he realized. Her eyes were on him, but she did not see him. She was blind. She approached the creature, her arms
Yeah,
outstretched.
speaking of which, if you're blind and you're like, if you encounter SCP-096, you're like pretty much fucking safe. So, yeah, you will not die because, first of all, even if you have eyes, SCP, the shy guy will not recognize you as a threat. Basically, the one that if you view his face is just like one of his anomalous properties that he doesn't have control. So he doesn't want to kill people. It's just that what do you call this? Uncontrolled powers. That is like a fucking side effect. That if someone accidentally views his face, he will go mad. Yeah, instinct, right? Fucking instinct. But actually, he doesn't mean any harm because every time he fucking kills others, he cries that I think like he fought God. But the problem here is that when he talked with God, he realized that he's the creature that doesn't want to kill others, and he has zero control of his action. Like he doesn't want to kill, so this is why he keeps crying so much because he didn't mean to. And I there's like multiple origin story of SCP-096 is that he was abused in centuries ago. He's immortal, and not to mention, he got cursed by some voodoo powers, like demonic powers. So this is why he looks like mutated. And God did realize that this creature is somehow what do you call this? Doesn't want to hurt someone, but uh, he cannot help himself to stop. So what God did on the other video is that he pacified him to the point that he knocked out SCP-096 and put him on a cold place in mountains so that he can freeze at least, so that he doesn't harm someone for centuries, for many centuries. So other people will not encounter him anymore. But other people did saw him in the modern age already, and he got contained because once he got out from his like cryogenic sleep and someone accidentally see his face again, he got mad and he killed lots of people again.
Following the sound of his crying, she touched his hand with her own tiny fingers, so small and fragile, and asked, "Mommy?" Then he felt something he had never felt before: tenderness, care, a desire to protect this tiny, innocent being. It was the first time he had ever felt warm, ever felt anything but sadness, anger, or fear. Overcome with this softness, he wrapped his arms around the child and hugged her close. She hugged him back tightly, and the room went quiet as they both stopped
See,
crying.
this is what
From
I'm
that
saying.
day on, they became
SCP-096
a
is not
family of sorts. They lived
so-called evil.
together and he took care of her. She
The
didn't.
only thing that I can say who is like notoriously evil in SCP as SCPs would be the unkillable lizard, which is called SCP 682. So he's an omnicidal lizard, which is aka also a child of Scarlet King. He's also a demon. Possessive mask. He's also evil. There's like another one that is evil, of course, Scarlet King, because he's the Satan of the SCP Foundation. There's like, I think, Yule Man, like it's called Yule Man, so he kills people in Christmas. He's also evil. So there's like several SCPs that are evil. Some are animalistic, that they don't have control with their action. Oh, by the way, another evil SCP is called Old Man. Okay, he's so fucking sadistic. I think I cannot say the R word. Okay, he fucking he literally fucked a woman based on the story, and he just like teleported her to through the wormhole. He just pulled her inside his pocket dimension, and he did something fucking horrible to that woman. I mean, like, no shit. Old Man is also one of the evil SCPs in this series, and he likes to torture people.
Know what he looked like and had no idea he might be something to fear. To her, he was safety. He was home. For the first time in his long, awful life, he felt like a human instead of a monster. He would scavenge food for her, bring her fresh water, lay down stolen blankets and pillows so she would have a soft place to rest. He even found her a ratty, worn teddy bear amongst the rubble and gave it to her as a gift. She clutched it to her chest and thanked him, and for once his tears were those of joy. In this cursed world, they had found something like happiness in one another. He knew he would protect her, no matter what. Then one day, everything changed. The creature and the little girl were playing in the abandoned site, making up little games together, when he took a break to look out at the window and monitor their surroundings. Outside, the evil red sun waited. When he turned back, the little girl was gone. One of the shadowy creatures, once human, was imitating his voice to lure her away. He could hear it in the distance, and her tiny footsteps following it. He chased after her, the only thing he had ever loved, and saw her just as she stepped out into the light. She screamed as one of her arms began to melt in the light, and he knew what he had to do. He grabbed her and pulled her back inside, using his body to shield her from the horrible rays. As
Shit.
he wept over her, his tears stopped her body from melting any further, but his body continued to fall apart. It was too late for him. He ran as far as he could. Once he transformed, he did not want to end up hurting the girl. He ran until his legs melted away, and he could
And
not
even
run anymore.
SCP-096
He
are
had
not
reached the
is not
shoreline
immune, even
and
though
stared
he
out
has
at
like
the ocean,
Wolverine
unable to move
healing
anymore.
powers.
He screamed a final time in agony, in heartbreak, in mourning for the happiness he had finally found and now would lose. But at least he knew, as his eyes melted away and he was nearly gone, that the girl would be safe. And then he was gone, and the world was quiet. Now go check out SCP-096.
So yeah, speaking of which, so SCP-096 Shy Guy has Wolverine healing factor, and this is what I'm saying is that the sun is OP. I'm not kidding about this. The sun is so fucking OP. Why? Because even the strongest SCP do fucking die on the sun, and the only thing that doesn't kill it, the sun doesn't kill, is the possessive mass because it's inorganic. SCP zero SCP 682, because he's adaptive lizard, so every damage that he can adapt. So even on the sun, it's no big deal for him. SCP-173 is a peanut statue, so it doesn't melt at all because it's made out of rebar, cement, and Krylon paint. And of course, there is like Old Man. Old Man doesn't go out, although he can be melted by the sun. But since he has a pocket dimension, so he's like pretty much safe from going outside. If he needs to find a victim, he can just like teleport to other parts of the town if there's survivors, and he can just like pace through the wall, and he can grab someone from the back, and he will pull them inside. So yeah. So at least we covered the SCP 049. And okay, so I need to like go now because work will start. So I'm going to like vibe check someone right now. I will try to like watch it maybe soon because next week I don't know if I can like stream because I have like meetings. Like I think like I have like two meetings within next week. No, three, because one will be another one will be later, and another two meetings would be. I have like another two sets of meetings. One is team meeting, and another is like presentation. So it would like fucking suck for me that I need to like present to someone else. I need to like show that I'm doing what I'm doing inside the company. And also I have like a date night at Saturday. I think like Saturday, yeah. Cafe Tevat. So I would call that as a date. And you can pick other cosplayers that you want to hang out with. So I got reserved already. And I think my next stream, okay, I don't know, maybe my next stream will be Sunday again. But I will try to like stream on the same time, or let's say morning. So I will announce it. So for now, I'm just going to like uh read someone right now. So I'm going to read. Oh, someone is like playing Stardew Valley. Senpai 8989. So yeah, I think see you guys around next week. Just next week, I will announce the schedule. Okay, once I'm done with the other tasks. Okay, guys, see you around next week. Okay, thank you all, and bye bye.
I see. Wait, what? Yo, Natalia, thank you so much for the